It's black. It's gooey. And no one has any idea where it's coming from. But what they do know is there seems to be plenty of it, and it doesn't seem friendly at all. One of Venezuela's greatest mysteries tonight.
What you are about to hear is believed to be real, based on witness accounts, testimonies, and public record. This is terrifying and true.
This week, we'll be going far further than south of the border, all the way to South America, to the nation of Venezuela, for one of their greatest and strangest mysteries. But before we get to that, I just want to say thank you for listening to the show. If you enjoy what you're hearing, why not head to your favorite podcast app of choice, click subscribe, and leave a 5-star rating. We really, deeply do appreciate it. And remember, every Monday in the paranormal and true story genre, and of course on Wednesdays, a narrated fiction story. But now I think it's time we get to the bottom of La Mancha Negra after these words from our sponsors. A mysterious black, sticky goop emerged from a road in Venezuela, and despite several attempts to wash it away, the gum-like goo would return the following day. The substance was so slippery that it's said to have caused 1,800 deaths and thousands of more injuries from car accidents. But this bizarre phenomena only happened on one road in Caracas, Venezuela's capital city. One single road managed to take the lives of almost 2,000 people. What was this mysterious substance, and why hasn't there been much coverage about it in the media? Could it have just been a roadwork malfunction? Or could it have been a result of something more sinister, like corruption and political gain? This is the strange history of the phenomena known as La Mancha Negra, or for English speakers, the Black Stain. The strange black goo first appeared in 1986 on a busy highway between the cities of Caracas and the international airport. It was given the name La Mancha Negra for quite literally being a black stain on the road. The first sighting of it came from a construction crew repairing the highway. The road between Venezuela's capital and its airport was looking beaten and worn down after 20 years. So the government sent out a crew to fix the numerous potholes. It was during this much-needed repair that a few workers noticed a bizarre substance oozing from the road. They described it as being a thick, black sludge that had the consistency of chewing gum. It was certainly strange, but the crew got back to the work they had came to do. They didn't have time to investigate odd phenomena. The goo didn't seem to be much of an issue initially. As weird as it was, it only stretched 50 yards in length, though soon that would change. Over time, as many as 8 miles of highway were covered with the unknown substance. The substance would fluctuate with the weather, shrinking when cold and expanding when hot. And it would seem to come and go at random, notably forming in tunnels and on uphill slopes rather than flat terrain. This odd occurrence puzzled the leaders of the city of Caracas, and the commuters demanded answers. The black goo wasn't just gum-like and annoying. It proved to be extremely slippery. Drivers described it as slick as ice, even despite its gooey consistency. It became hazardous and caused a number of accidents. By 1991, La Mancha Negra had reportedly been responsible for 1,800 deaths and countless other injuries. Scared Venezuelan locals would do their best to avoid the highway, and it became a topic of dark discussion in the area. After the black goo began spreading to other areas in Caracas, the government finally felt compelled to do something about it. Initially, when the authorities began investigating, they thought it could have been the result of poorly done and cheap roadwork. The black slime could have been nothing more than just excess oil from the hot asphalt, but it was proven to be much more than that. The Venezuelan Ministry of Transport and Communications ended up spending $1 million in an attempt to just wash away all of the goo. Again, though, the authorities were even more baffled after the goo just kept reappearing. In fact, the roads were thoroughly and professionally cleaned on several occasions using every method at their disposal. They used pressurized hoses and power washers, various detergents and chemicals, and even their own elbow grease to physically scrape it away. But nothing seemed to prevent it from oozing from the bowels of the earth yet again. At one point, desperate to stop it, pulverized limestone was poured over all the goo to dry it out. But still, this did not work. All of the failed efforts and hard work left experts stumped. Finally, in 1996, Venezuela imported advanced cleaning equipment from Germany that had what seemed like a permanent effect. But just 5 years later, the mysterious La Mancha Negra appeared in Caracas once again, infuriating locals and the authorities. At this point, tests were done to figure out the nature of the substance. The results showed that it was composed of dust, oil, and various organic and synthetic materials. So, what does this mean? What really is the ominous and deadly La Mancha Negra? Many at this point believed the original theory, that it was the result of shoddy roadwork and improper mixing. The asphalt could have melted down and perhaps combined with other things on the ground. Another widely believed theory is that it is the result of brake fluid, engine oil, or any other substance from passing cars. But if this was the answer, then why is it not happening in any other area of the world, or even just other areas of Venezuela? The goo was only localized in the Caracas area, and primarily on the one stretch of highway leading to the international airport. Could it have been raw sewage seeping through the ground from the impoverished areas of Caracas? Others also theorize that it could have been oil from the vast nearby petroleum deposits of the Orinoco Belt. This territory in the southern strip of Venezuela overlies the world's largest deposits of extra-heavy crude oil. All of these theories are just speculation and have yet to be proved otherwise. So what really is the cause of La Mancha Negra? With various conspiracy theories in play, could someone have deliberately caused La Mancha Negra? Or, if it was the result of a poorly done asphalt job, was someone exaggerating the dangers of the black goo on the highway for some sort of gain? It's a popular theory that politicians at the time used La Mancha Negra to push their agendas or point blame at their opponents. President Carlos Andrés Pérez of Venezuela at the time was even being accused of creating La Mancha Negra. After the goo resurfaced in 2001, though, the mayor of Caracas, Freddy Bernal, was certain he knew who was to blame. According to him, it had to be a group of agitators who waited until the dead of night to drive their old trucks with their license plates removed and dump large bags of used oil onto the specific stretch of road. But why would they go through so much trouble to do something that peculiar? According to Mayor Freddy, he believed it was sabotage, an act of war against the residents of Caracas. However, this theory doesn't seem quite plausible. When cleaners would come to power wash, scrape, and scrub the heavy black substance, it would just reappear the following day. So were these oil vandals coming each and every night, dumping their oil? And if you think this theory is far-fetched, there are many out there who truly believe aliens or the paranormal are responsible for La Mancha Negra. The deadly goo isn't just mysterious because it suddenly appeared one day and no one could determine its cause, though. It's also strange because it comes and goes each day on random areas of the highways. Despite all the conspiracies and mystery surrounding La Mancha Negra over the many years it has existed, there is one theory that just makes the most sense. The mysterious substance was first noticed by a construction road crew, the ones laying the asphalt themselves on the exact same highway. It's believed by many that the road crew company was cutting a few or several corners and using subpar asphalt. Today, many people still discuss La Mancha Negra and even report spotting it. There are also many who believe La Mancha Negra was just a myth. It's theorized that bored reporters who were acting on a tight deadline made up a large and startling death toll to spice up bland newspaper stories. What is certain, though, is that, for a time, this short stretch of highway terrified Venezuelan residents after being plagued by some sort of deadly black goop that seeped through the ground. Many locals and taxi drivers refused to drive over it, certain they would become the next victims. Was it simply just a roadwork malfunction? Or something entirely more sinister and corrupted? We'll likely never know the answer. But I can tell you personally, I will never be driving on that highway in Venezuela. It's hard to really make a full informed opinion about La Mancha Negra because places like Venezuela are incredibly beautiful, but unfortunately, often deeply corrupt. There's no doubt that any investigation into this bizarre occurrence was probably surrounded by so much red tape and controversy. I mean, imagine just how difficult it is in the United States of America and Canada to get answers to strange mysteries. Now in Venezuela, they've struggled for many, many decades with unfair regimes. So at the end of the day, I guess the best thing we could take from all of this is, if you see some black goo on the highway, try to go around it. If you have any ideas, theories, or thoughts about what La Mancha Negra is, you're welcome to send them to me at weeklyspooky@gmail.com. I really do appreciate you listening to this, and I hope you're enjoying our new true crime, folklore, paranormal show, Terrifying and True. This is the 10th episode we've published, and I'm really enjoying it. And I think you are too. So until next Monday, be safe and, seriously, avoid any black goo on the highway. That's just a pro tip from me to you. Terrifying and True is narrated by Henrik Kuto, executive produced by Rob Fields, and produced by Dan Wilder. The original theme song is composed and performed by Ray Mattis. All other music is from Audioblocks. A huge thank you to our Patreon podcast boosters, folks who pay just a little bit more to hear their names on the show. And they are Kelly Oram, Julia Kirsch, Christopher Sullivan, Brent McCullough, Gino Lyons, Steve King, Karen Ouimet, Jack Kerr, Jeff and George Hilton, Craig Cohen, and Kevin Fry. Thank you all so much. And if you want to join them in supporting the program, Just go to weeklyspooky.com and click on Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you can help us keep going and going and going, and you'll get bonus episodes as well. And if you have a story you'd like us to cover, send us an email at weeklyspooky@gmail.com.